entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections for elevating your business. Welcome to Getting the Edge with Kelly Wilson. And here's your host, Kelly Wilson.
Welcome to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us today. Getting the Edge is brought to you by Edge Media Hub, a business community with media solutions. Find out more today on our website at edgemediahub.com. I'm always excited. Make sure you keep updated and check out our upcoming second annual Celebration of Women. We have just about a couple more weeks to we have it finalized and will finally disperse in the community, and what an honor it's been to meet and get to know so many amazing community leaders, pioneers, women in the community that have I'm just honored to share their story. It's been amazing and an amazing experience. So check us out, Edge Online, and you can find out all of the 10 honorees and all of the people included. There's so much great editorial content included as well. Mark Cantrell, CEO of the Florida Orchestra, did a fabulous article. Everything is so heartfelt. I love to think that I bring out just that side of people where they feel comfortable opening up and they contribute such just heartfelt, fabulous, marvelous pieces to our publications and to our resource center. Make sure you check out our Edge Online Article Resource Center. You can go through all of the industry-related articles that you have interest in. So again, there's so much to see at Edge Online, all of the past shows over the years. So excited. We just recently uploaded to Spotify, and we're working on all of the other platforms as well. So a lot more to come with Getting the Edge, so make sure you stay tuned. Just a lot of great transitions happening, adding the team members. We have a brand new community director starting very soon. Actually, by the time we air, she will be in full swing, hopefully. So we're excited to welcome Kendra to the team. But again, so much going on. It's a great time, and as summer is here, and we're finally getting back to some type of normalcy, I think we all feel. So welcome to summer, and but it never stops with us sharing stories and highlighting great individuals in our community. Again, I'm a firm believer that we can learn so much from each other. So thank you so much to Edge Platinum Partners, All Trust Insurance, Pilot Bank, USF Muma College of Business, and Visit Tampa Bay. We wouldn't be here without you, so thank you so much for your participation over the years. I am excited about today's show. We're going to talk about, we're going to interview a good friend of mine and also talk about a product that he has developed from Homeland. And but I use it personally, so it's a great opportunity, and I've watched him grow over the last couple of years, and it's great to have watch the company evolve as well as himself. So welcome, Caleb Williams.
Thank you.
W. Caleb Williams,
yes,
right?
yes,
Would be the official.
That is the official. Good
Wayne
morning.
Caleb.
Yes,
Wayne Caleb.
yes,
That's right. I'm always like trying to pick at things they don't know. I was writing an article for someone, and she's always Laura S. But now not anymore. She's Laura Sandra. You may just be Wayne Caleb now. So
that's fine. That is fine.
So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It's
a pleasure.
Likewise, it's been good to get to know you and watch you become comfortable, just with the product and with yourself. I think we have to, we all kind of eventually just you've been forced to hit the limelight some with your success recently with the product. So tell us a little bit. We're going to go in depth and talk about all the different, the new products you have coming out, but as well as the secret ingredients and all that. But just from a quick, brief, overall standpoint about the product, what is the overall, is it SprainGo or is it the RelieveIt line, or is it go ahead.
Yeah, no. So it's the RelieveIt line.
Okay.
The company is SprainGo.
Okay.
And we named it SprainGo because at the time we thought that's all the remedy did.
Right.
Once we learned that the applications are much broader, then we needed to find a name that could really kind of encompass a broader range
so
of products.
Originally it was like for a sprain.
Exactly.
A family member had injured himself, and you sprayed or put this ointment on, and he was able to continue in the race. Is that correct?
That is correct. So this actually goes back about 7 years ago. My son was invited to a professional soccer tryout. he sprained his ankle on the first day. And one of my brothers happened to be in attendance, and my brother said, let's apply the family remedy. My response was, what family remedy?
Oh, wow. Oh, you didn't even know.
I had no idea, right? And so that evening we applied the remedy, and he called the next morning and said, Dad, I'm ready to go. And really that's how it all started.
And then the business mind in you, that entrepreneurial side just started, kind of going to work. Like, wait a minute.
Well, it's not often that we get to experience or witness a modern day miracle. So for my son to go from could not walk, could not put weight on the ankle, to back playing at 7 o'clock the next morning, that, in my view, was a modern day miracle. And so you're right.
A sign that.
And a sign that.
I believe those come to us as, something to think about. There's something to look at here, beyond. And it's, potentially an ingredient, right, that is unused.
Right.
And it's part of nature. It should be, more well known. So tell us a little bit about the ingredients that makes it different than other products.
Let me go back a little bit, if I may. So I'll take you almost 150 years ago.
Okay.
Back to the
I
Republic
like history.
to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
Wait, say it again.
So back
Trinidad.
the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And so during this time, which would really be around the late 1800s, unless you're an aristocrat on the island, you wouldn't have access to modern medicine. So my grandmother was a community healer. And so what's really fascinating about the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago is that we're the most diverse of the islands in the Caribbean. And so about 40% of our population... It
looks really beautiful.
It is amazingly beautiful.
Wow,
right?
no, yeah, breathtaking.
So about 40% of our population is of East Indian descent, about equivalent population of African descent. So if you think about traditional medicine, those are the centers of traditional. And so you have this conversion of thousands of years of traditional practices on this tiny island. And so my grandmother discovered that the pine resin had extraordinary restorative properties, and she would use it and blend it with different herbs and other plants that had medicinal properties, and that's how it all started.
I was just reading. I've read enough books. I've got enough going on up here for 8 people lately. But I've read something recently about trees, and it being one of, it's one of the elements, right? Air, water, fire, wood, like from the trees. But it was also, there's a lot of from the, even beyond the 18th century, even going back, just to,
Well, think about this: aspirin, morphine. Those are all botanicals, and of course, we're now all familiar with cannabis. So you go back into, well into the early 1800s when, say, aspirin, right, and aspirin came out of the willow tree. So for centuries, you've had botanicals that have formed the basis of medicine.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's what was provided, for healing before
That's exactly right.
We evolved and then we were able to then develop scientifically, things on our own. But ultimately, that was there, right? And
it is,
and it needs to be tapped into.
And what's fascinating now, because of COVID, and so we saw, during COVID especially, the impact of things like, inflammation and people who have comorbidities being more susceptible to COVID and so forth. And so people have really kind of lost trust in the modern medicine, right? And so there's a shift now that's happening to self-care and botanicals. And so, we've seen that with CBD or cannabis in general. And now, so to have a botanical discovery that's coming at the right time when there is a shift in the market, that's really exciting for us.
Right. Well, and I feel like it's always been time, but people are just more aware now and able to, see the opportunities that are there. And thankfully, as I sit, in this chair, I don't sit often because it's hard to sit still for too long. But as I have the opportunity to talk to so many amazing people, we all have these causes and these fires within us that, thankfully we're able to touch on a little bit, all of us, as one, it's really cool to watch, and just the passions that we have for what we're supposed to bring to the table. I feel our
Absolutely.
contributions.
Agree
So
completely.
I want to talk even more about the product and HSN. That's a great, so how long has that been?
That was last summer.
Okay, so well, let's go back to your, like, what's your background?
So I am a former financial services director. I work for Citibank.
Okay, so corporate, like,
Yes, so corporate.
very structured.
Very, very structured, kind of stiff kind of a guy. I'm much looser now.
No, I think just in the last couple of years that I've known you, you seem like you more go with the flow, than all business.
Yes, yes.
I mean,
I
although you're all
spent-
business, but it's just different. It's a different.
15 years in that kind of corporate banking
Yeah,
structure. That was.
You just form habits and ways of being, and
Indeed,
I mean,
indeed.
I think I have from the opposite, just from not being in that structured environment so long. But I think that's great, especially being where you are now. It helped because you can use all of that, just like we use everything from all of our past careers and
Absolutely.
lifetime experiences.
Yes.
So did you always want to go into banking? Like, did you grow up at all in Trinidad?
I did. So I came to the States when I was 12. And so really I've spent most of my life
But
in,
you had a
in
nice
the
like
States.
childhood there, at least to have that
I had
experience.
an amazing childhood in Trinidad.
Yeah.
Just that weather and the culture and the fruit and just everything about it.
And it's probably
Just,
even better than, I mean, the vision and the memory is probably even better than it actually was, right? Because you reflect back from being a child, because those moments were so special, right? So
yeah, they really were. So in 2019, I took the kids and we spent Christmas in Trinidad. And they've traveled all over the world. We lived abroad and so forth. They said, Dad, we've never been to a place that was more beautiful where we had, they said it was the best vacation they've ever had. Just the friendliness of the people and
just
and
that tie to
the tie.
home, like
Yes,
family,
yes.
that culture, even feeling like you belong there. And I'm sure
Exactly.
earth, that soil, I mean,
Yes,
it
yes.
calls to you in some
Yes.
way.
Mountains, beaches,
right.
tropical, just really amazing.
So, I mean, yeah, that's it. And that's special to know that you're a part, unity is amazing too. Just knowing too that you're a part of something in a culture that you can learn more about and share with the world, right?
No, you're right. And for us now, for my family, it's even more special because now it's tied to the origin of this company.
And you're carrying,
It's
the
about
line.
the legacy, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, to be a part of that. Are there other family members involved as well?
Well, no. So I'm the primary driver. I am supported. I have 11 siblings.
11. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
What
Well,
were your parents thinking?
So we're a small island. So I always say that I am certain that the government they were encouraging back in the day the parents to be fruitful and to multiply. Because
Oh my goodness.
we're only like 1.4 million today. So imagine, 100 years ago, we're just a handful of people, right? So they
Wow.
needed to do something to get the population.
Now,
stable.
what were statistically, like how many, well, again, this is a long time ago, but even like, in our lifetimes, like what statistically, how many do they stay? Like how many move and go to the States or because as you talk about, different generations.
Yeah, well, what's
It's not
happened is that-
exactly, but just,
well, a lot of people would leave to study abroad, England
And come back.
and the States, primarily. And so, yeah, a lot of, it's most people kind of desire to
Explore.
spend the last of their
I see
life back in their home country. And so you will see people, buying homes and different things.
And investing.
My family, we're looking for a vacation home and so forth. So you always have that connection back to that place of
your roots,
of birth,
in a sense of,
No,
I
absolutely.
think that is, I love history and exploring, and I just think that's a great, well, and again, it's a great opportunity to bring the product and
It is,
share it.
and for us now, I've had conversations now with the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and because we believe that this ingredient, these products, are going to shine a light on the country for generations to come. So, because this is an ingredient that can make multiple products, this ingredient, like aspirin or the willow or cannabis, they will outlive. When you and I have expired, the ingredient that makes these products will continue to benefit people, until the end of time.
That's an amazing feeling.
Right.
Going back, you'd mentioned you traveled abroad and traveled a lot. So did you do that with Citibank?
I did. So I would say the 15 years I spent with Citi, I was looking at American Airline, my awards. I have almost 1 million miles with just the one airline, and most of my travel was international. So my last role with Citibank, I was based in Budapest, and I had responsibility for Europe, Middle East, Asia, and Africa for the segment of my business. And so I had teams literally across multiple continents, and I would do these around the globe trips because my boss was based here in Tampa. So home
was here, but you just traveled from here.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So Budapest was home for 3 years as an expat, but we maintained our home base here in Tampa. Yeah.
Wow. And so it was. So tell us, so after you. As you're approaching that end of that 15 years, and then was that about the time then that the product and you became aware of that? So what made you take the leap then? Because that's
a great question.
15 years structured.
Yeah.
That I mean, I commend you for it, but I know that could not have been easy. And most, I'm sure you had so many saying, you're crazy.
No, you're spot on. I had an amazing life, right? I said we were traveling all over the world. The kids were getting to see every. So let me take you back to 2012 April in Manila. I'm in Manila and I'm having a call with some senior bankers from Tokyo. My boss from Tampa happens to be in town. My presentation went so swimmingly well. He turns to me. First of all, he asked if he could join the call. I said, well, you can't tell your boss no.
Right.
So he came and he sat on the call. And at the end of the call, he turns to me and he says, "You've missed your calling." And so we both chuckled, but as I left the conference room, something dropped in my spirit and said, he's right. You have missed your calling. Now, all I knew at that point was Citibank, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, 15 years. So my thought was, okay, that means it's time for the next big role at Citi. So that evening we're having dinner, and I said to him, "Hey, boss, I've been working for you for about 5 years. My assignment in Europe is winding down." I said, "When I look at your organization, I don't see that next big assignment. I would like you to help me find that next role outside of your organization." He turns to me and he says, "If you said that to most bosses, they would take that personally." He said, "But I'm not that kind of guy." Well, as it turned out, he was that kind of guy. And so when my assignment ended and I returned to Tampa, there was no next big role lined up for me. And now the way that things work as an expat is if you've done well, which I did, you're guaranteed a job, when you come back. But when you've done the kind of work that I did, I wanted something sexy. I wanted something bigger, right?
Right.
And
something worthy of all the work that you've done. Come on.
Exactly. And so just about that time is when my son sprained his ankle. And so I started thinking back on Manila, his comments about me missing my calling. And I realized, maybe this could be my calling. So what we did, Kelly, was I reached out to a buddy who's a PhD compound pharmacist from UF, shared the story, and I asked him to modernize the remedy. And we started testing. We did what's called a real-world evidence test. We tested 200 people with all different sorts of chronic ailments, fibromyalgia, neuropathy, you name it.
And people suffer from that.
People suffer,
they do.
Right?
It's...
So 85% of the participants reported some level of relief. 70% reported relief lasting greater than 24 hours. 35% had relief lasting more than 2 days. And at that point, it became clear for me what my
What
destiny
your path was, right, right. Mhm.
And so I went back to boss and I said, how about we negotiate a package? Right?
Now, are we going to get to what he meant by that comment? Because, I mean, did he ever say, did you ever ask, like, what was that underlying you missed your calling in his mind at that
Well,
moment? Was it the way you handled the client?
It's the way that the presentation was so effective. The mannerisms, the demeanor, the way that I interacted with these very senior guys who were running Citibank operations in Tokyo. He just felt that it was in his, and I don't really think he understood it. It was just, the words that he used, it triggered something in me.
He was almost like upset, like oh, what did I say that for? Like he almost wanted to backtrack. Like I think he may have said it as a sign, to you. I think, but then you think about it after the fact, and because I think there was obviously from, just you could end up having his job, right? I mean, there, like you said, luckily I'm not that type of guy, but obviously he was. But it's almost as if he was so impressed in the moment he spoke. But then
that's exactly,
and
what
that's
it was.
really all you needed.
And that was the impetus that lit the fire. And I knew at that point, and again, I was thinking it was related to Citi, right? The next big role. And so, but something lit on the inside of me that I am done with this now, and again.
Well, and too many other things were going forward. Had they not been, then you probably wouldn't have. I mean, but as you can see, something's continuously progressing.
Yes.
You can't help. I mean, that's I think what people don't understand oftentimes when they're looking from the outside and they don't understand.
Right. That's right.
There are steps moving forward, and there is no time limit on how quickly though. You can try to say there's one,
right?
But that doesn't mean it's so. So you just have to literally go with the flow, which you've learned to do.
So I'll never forget. I announced to my family that I was leaving, and my daughter said, "Dad, what are you talking about? I'm getting ready to go to college."
Yeah. Well, they were probably accustomed to a certain lifestyle, right? Yeah. So, well, but yeah.
It was.
Were they? I'm sure they were. I mean, obviously, it's a legacy for them as well. But at the same time,
it is. And my response to her specifically was, you know what? I've got a year package. I'm going to go pursue this dream, this vision that I have. If it doesn't work, I can always go back to the bank.
Right. Oh, right. You have so many options, right. With what you've done.
Exactly.
And to have, and again, how many people are given that opportunity? To have, and I imagine a year package was quite substantial considering, what.
Well, listen, so many things lined up because as an expat, Citi paid my expenses abroad, and so during that period, that window of time, I was able to save more money in 3 years than over a 15-year career.
Wow.
And so everything literally lined up.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's another way, too. And it's pieces of the puzzle coming together. And I think oftentimes people don't hit their marks because they don't seize on the opportunities. I read somewhere and it said, for one, not always trying to rely on your own understanding of things, right?
That's right.
And trying to believe in the bigger picture. But it's also too just a sense of, I guess, trust and belief in yourself, and it's hard. I think so often we're overwhelmed with society and I think the people around us that dictate.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. So I will tell you that my belief was, given my experience, my network, so forth and so on, in 1 year, I could have this company up and running, we're making money, and everything is great.
Okay. This is going to be a fun conversation. Okay. And so because, it's good to be naive, isn't it?
Boy, was I naive.
But it's a good thing. Sometimes it's good to have that childlike, because if we knew exactly what we were getting into, we may make different decisions. And that's not how we're supposed to look at it. Right. So, okay, let's talk about that. So, so you do your plan. I did it too. It's quite funny, yeah. I was supposed to be $1 million, so many years ago. So a year, and then so what happened? I mean,
so here's what happened. We as we
You've had a great relationship with USF, I might say, too. So you've
Right.
been an incubator. And
been in the incubator now for 3 years.
you're still with
Right.
USF? Okay.
And so the whole plan was, okay, we've got this amazing remedy. We make products, we sell it, and we make money. What we discovered when we joined the incubator at USF was that what the ingredient is a new botanical anti-inflammatory discovery. And so
A new botanical
Yes.
anti-inflammatory discovery.
Yes.
Okay.
So let me give you an example of other botanical anti-inflammatories.
Okay.
Aspirin was and morphine were botanical anti-inflammatories in the early 1800s.
Morphine's
Cannabis,
so potent
yes,
to be a
but it came out of a plant, right? Cannabis, around 1947, was the term is elucidated, so meaning that people now can use it for different purposes other than getting high, and so
medicinal. Is that what they call it? I am
yes.
like, okay.
yes. And so once we discovered that what my grandmother, created in, well over almost 150 years ago, is a new botanical anti-inflammatory, it absolutely changed the game, because now getting products to market actually created risk for me. And what I mean by that is, when you have a new discovery, you've got to patent it.
Right.
You've got to conduct the science. And so, you sell products to generate revenue, but now all of a sudden we're like, whoa, we can't really go to market that quickly. We've got to further develop the science so that we can own the ingredient. And so
There's a lot more involved, right? And that takes time.
that takes a whole lot of money.
Just like
and
what we
time.
dealt with the vaccine. I mean, vaccines lately, it's you have to have enough data,
You
and
do.
studies,
You
and
do.
you can't have that without time
Yes.
and experience with the product. And
Exactly.
but you also don't want everyone else running to Trinidad and trying to develop their own at the same time.
you
So
got it. You
you're
got
kind
it.
of caught. In,
Right, and so we're in this in between place where we need to sell products to make money, but we knew that if we sold too many products and it got into the hands of the wrong person, we risk someone coming in and
giving your
crush it.
product to
Exactly. Right.
the enemy, so to speak.
Yes.
Right.
yes.
Right.
And so that then created an extremely challenging situation, because everyone's saying, well, okay, well, when are we going to see your products on the shelf? When are we, because people, people
You talk about
think of
people like around you that you would talk
family
to.
and friends
okay,
and so forth. Well,
Right.
why aren't you selling? Why don't
Right,
we
right.
see it here? Why don't we see it there? And
because they think they know how it goes. They know
Exactly.
what's
And
best.
success is kind of usually defined, well, your product is at Walmart and so
Right.
forth. And imagine trying to
probably
explain
different for
to
every
someone,
individual,
well,
right.
no, we can't really sell the products right now because we got to do the science.
They probably feel like you're giving them a bunch of like baloney just so that you can, but it is true that, I've dealt with it myself. But they just, a lot of people don't understand. And
Yeah.
now on your benefit, I mean, at least you did have, you had scientists and some other people involved that, if, you could provide something showing
Yes,
that,
yes,
there
yes.
is all this testing going on. But,
Yes.
but yeah, it's difficult to try to explain your vision to someone that ultimately is never going to understand.
No, you're right. So I recognize that as we grew closer to completing the science, and we need to raise funds and so forth. So literally last year, we worked with HSN and we worked with the running community because we needed a proof of concept. We needed to prove our products had commercial viability. So I took a calculated risk to launch a set of products just so that we could prove commercial viability while the scientists at USF they were continuing to develop.
And the patent stuff's it was in the works too, or did the scientific stuff need to be done first before that? Well, I guess some of it had to be, right? I mean,
Exactly,
in order to know
exactly.
what you're patenting.
Correct,
Exactly.
correct.
Right.
That's absolutely
And,
right.
right, because you probably have a formula, but
Right.
how you put it, but then it's obviously tweaked as the data comes in, right?
Yes.
You know exactly, yeah. So
Yes. And so,
I'm figuring all this out as we go along.
so the long game for us is to own the plant. And so how do you own a plant?
That grows in the
Right.
ground.
So the U.S. Patent Office does not allow, you can't own a moringa plant or a cannabis plant or any type of plant. No one can, okay? So how does a company who has this discovery gain ownership of it? Well,
Just the formula itself, then the way
not the formula, but actually owning the ingredients. So I learned that back in around 2008, Cargill and Coke collaborated. You ever heard of stevia, the sweetener?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm a sweet and low, like
You're a sweet and low.
but so I
there's-
go for the pink.
There's
thing,
a
but,
there's a sweetener called stevia, and it comes from a plant out of South America. And so Cargill, they were pretty much doing the same thing that I've been doing, which is using the natural remedy to make the products. But they realized that they needed to own it, and so they collaborated with Coke, and they made minor modifications to the molecular structure of the plant that allowed them to own the plant. This is what my scientists at USF are doing right now. So we are now, by the end of third quarter, my company will own an anti-inflammatory botanical.
yeah, that's pretty exciting then. Yeah, that's come a long way. Yeah,
But here's the good news. Once we
I
own,
thought that was pretty good news.
so by the end of third quarter, we will have an extract that you companies will be able to license from us, Kelly, to put in food, beverages, medicine, supplement, pet care, skin care, cosmetics, immune support, nutrition. So you will see the RelieveIt pine resin in everything in the next couple of years.
That has come along because coming from just an extract of that into something even edible, right? Is so just like mind blowing, right?
Yes. Yes.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yes.
So how many years has that? Okay, so at the third quarter, that would have been how many years of study? Like, is that 3 then?
USF phase 1 started in January 2018, ended
So just
a year later. Well, no, June 2019.
Wow.
Phase 2 started in January of this year. Will end around the third quarter, and then there's a phase 3. So we actually are kicking off an endurance clinical study. So phase 3 is in what's called clinical studies, where we're going to, we've got 66 endurance runners that the scientists at USF will, one of the features and benefits of our product is that it reduces muscle soreness.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go and run a half marathon, a marathon, and have minimal to no soreness after the run. And so what's amazing and what really separates our ingredient apart is that it's used preventatively, because inflammation is the underlying issue of almost every pain that a person has.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from an insect bite to arthritis, we've seen it with COVID. It's all about inflammation.
The inflammation the inflammation that it causes.
Yes. So, and inflammation is a good thing, right? So the body is designed so that you have an injury or you have a pain, it naturally sends the inflammation to protect. But then there's excessive inflammation, and that excess inflammation.
Yeah, I deal with that all the time.
Yes. And so that's what our remedy now, that our ingredient works preventatively.
And I've used the product when we met a couple years ago, and what I have found, because I've had back issues forever, and I don't really know what they derive, over the years, my mother used to say I would have terrible back pain because I carried my daughter on my hip from the time she was a baby till, I don't know, her kindergarten teacher ripped her out of my arm. I'll never forget that. And that was, I think, the last time I stopped. Anyway, but I have bad back pain. And it's a lot of the triggers, but I have also dealt with lower issues, and then also the trigger areas on the sides of my spine between here down have gotten so bad that I love Dr. Crespo too, Dr. Crespo and Associates. He's been great with some decompression therapy, but I use on top of that, I've used the ointment. What I have found is with some other stuff that I've used, you just always apply it. I never really looked at it as something that I would eventually not need. But with this, it's it does seem like it keeps working, so I do not have to continue to reapply it, which I don't think we want to all the time, because because especially for women, and let me just say, a lot of times I feel like I just smell like it. I've even came in here a couple weeks ago and I had put it on that morning, and I asked the guys, I'm like, I'm sorry if I smell like sports cream or anything, and they didn't smell anything. I did because I had it on, but no one else could smell anything.
And we formulated it so that the person who is applying will smell a eucalyptus aroma. And so that sends a message to the brain that, this is a medicinal aroma, this will work. But within a minute, it dissipates. So you could come into the studio and the person standing next to you won't know. You could sit on an airplane. And so because it...
Oh, and I put a lot on. I probably put more than I should. But I love the cooling sense of it. We were talking before the show, because I'll go and sit in front of a fan just to intensify. Plus, I feel like it dries it a little. It maybe seals it, so I can maybe put clothes or get back to what I'm doing. But you have a new spray out as well, and that is my favorite product right now because I can reach my back, right? So if you're like a solo person, it's like how do you anyway? But it's been great. So I highly recommend. I need to do reviews. That's coming, but I highly recommend the product. Yeah, it's great.
No, that's fine. Yeah, and as I said, it's really all about inflammation, and so.
I didn't know that originally.
We're in the process now, Kelly, of creating, I believe it's about 7 or 8 new products that address all different types of chronic inflammation. Let me give you some examples. More than 50% of American adults have chronic gum inflammation. And so your toothpaste, your floss, none of those things today, you can't find a product that contains a natural anti-inflammatory. So we're going to create a new toothpaste with RelieveIt. We're going to create a dental floss with RelieveIt. So as you're flossing in the morning, at night,
it helps with the inflammation.
It's getting deeper in the gum.
I have a friend. She was complaining about having to have some gum work done, and I think we're all human. We all have these issues that we deal with.
Indeed. So I mean, we're going to cover everything from plantar fasciitis to vaccines, right? People are getting COVID vaccines, and most people after the vaccination are in pain.
Oh no,
swelling.
I put it on mine. I didn't know if I was supposed to or not, but that thing's like my miracle spray.
That's exactly
now.
What,
in fact, my daughter got hers. She's afraid of me at this point, but I was trying to spray it on her because her arm, she'd gotten the second vaccine, and I was trying to. I'm like, you don't understand mine.
And so literally so we're looking at what are the different types of opportunities, problems that we can solve for people, right?
Make everyone more comfortable with a solution. I mean, because that's why I like Dr. Crespo, and I'll keep kind of plugging him there. But it's non-surgical spine recovery, so he focuses on everything that he can do without having major surgery on the spine. So this, kind of combined
becomes
with that,
complementary with what Dr. Crespo's doing.
Right, exactly. Absolutely. And I've been I'm 80% better than I was.
Yes.
And and I don't. I am making better habits.
Yes.
Buying some equipment for the home that I needed, but just something that I can work more on it, because again, it's like a diet or anything that we do in our life. It's a lifestyle change.
It is.
But unfortunately, there's some that have illnesses too, for them it is a way of life.
It is.
And but you can make them as comfortable. You can make them much more comfortable. Because fibromyalgia, that's something you're dealing with. Again, I've had the pleasure of working and knowing so many of these amazing people. And I remember one gentleman that I worked with, and he dealt with extreme pain. You could tell just talking with him that I'm having you're having a rough day, aren't you?
Yeah.
And he,
And so think about if he could use a product that calms the inflammation flare-up, because the inflammation comes first and then the pain. And so what our ingredient does, it suppresses, calms
Being
the inflammation.
proactive.
Exactly.
And
That's right.
and
it's
trying to get
void
people,
of harmful side
yeah,
effects.
don't wait, like trying to get the word and the messaging out. Like
Yes.
don't wait until you have the injury necessarily. You can if you're an athlete, or you're
Well, think
use it
about
before.
the chronic pain sufferer, the person with the chronic back or arthritis or whatever. You already know, plantar fasciitis, you're going to have a flare-up. And so the way that our products are formulated is, again, use it preventatively.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
really
like
what makes it.
as mothers, when we take our children in for vaccines, or through when they were little, we would give them Tylenol before we took them to the doctor's office, right? Because you knew that most likely they'd have a fever and they wouldn't feel well.
That's
So
exactly right.
having I'm all about the natural ingredients, today too, and exploring or tapping into these, unfounded, unknown, remedies that were always there, that have been overlooked. Let's go back, HSN.
Yes.
Not everybody's on HSN. It's a great opportunity to be there, and I don't know statistically how many people watch that show, but I
Right.
can imagine it's extreme.
It is.
What was that process like getting on the show and getting chosen?
No, it's fantastic. It was the process. It's called the Big Fine, and so
The what?
The Big Fine.
The big find.
Yes.
Or
FIND.
Okay,
FIND.
find.
And so at the end of 2019, they had this big find across maybe 4, I think, New York, Seattle, Florida, and maybe one other location, where thousands of entrepreneurs
I can imagine.
brought products. Our product, which is actually this product, our foot spray for women, was one of 77 products selected. And we launched the product the summer of 2020. I think I did 5 live airings on HSN, and it was amazing.
Okay, I support you in all of these. I saw you, and I've seen. I was not aware, or did not understand the product. In fact, I was trying to what are they doing with women's feet? So it is for soreness from heels.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm in Converse today, but I mean, even if I'm in heels, I have flip flops around the corner to
Right.
put into
And
it.
so
At my age,
you would apply it before you wear your high heels.
Interesting.
You're going on a holiday, and hopefully people start traveling again pretty soon. When you go on a cruise and then you walk for hours and your feet are hurting, and so you would literally apply this before you left the ship. Or you're traveling to Europe and you're walking for hours, you would apply. So again, it's all being applied preventatively.
Yeah, proactive. I started doing decompression therapy with Dr. Crespo prior to COVID. In fact, my therapy was kind of cut short because they were making all kinds of different accommodations. But I remember prior to that, one of the reasons I decided it was time to figure out, I was tired of dealing with the pain, and it was time to deal with it. But I love theme parks. I love to go out and explore. I love to go to new places and explore. But when, there was the end of 2019, 18, I guess it was, I don't know. But I went to St. Augustine even, for example, and I have to sit down at every bench, within every so often, because I'm in so much pain.
Yeah.
That, and then whoever's with me, we just sit there,
Sure,
we
sure.
know that my break's coming up. But,
Yeah.
and just in that moment, that relief from, I guess, and I've been diagnosed, with the disc stuff, but anyway, but I didn't want that to then cripple me from wanting to go and do stuff
do
like
the
that.
things that you enjoy, sure.
I my favorite little people that I talk about all the time. My grandchildren. I want to be able to go to the parks, and I don't want to have to, because I think sometimes we're in so much fear of, like, oh, I know how much pain I'm going to be in after the fact, or I'm going to be a drag to everybody being there.
Exactly.
And who wants, anyway. So having the decompression therapy has helped a lot, but I think now with COVID, I haven't been anywhere and really done anything. But as we start to get back out, I hope I can be in a theme park and, and with your products,
if we can
combined.
suppress that inflammation that really triggers the pain.
And that's it, is being proactive in a sense now, as I have treated myself, and I have, goodness, come I always wonder if you're supposed to say full circle or half, because if you went full, you'd be back where you started. Maybe, I don't know. If someone ever has the answer to that, you can email us info@edgemediahub.com. But yeah, I've come so far that I want to make sure that all I'm doing now is strengthening and working more on the core and then trying to alleviate any further inflammation.
Yes.
I've done a few rounds of their steroid shot. It's not cortisone, but it's something. But you don't want to have to do that forever. And I've done 2 rounds of that. It's a miracle work, because I tell you what, my pain had gotten so bad that it shoots up through my neck and down my arms to where my fingers swell up and they're numb.
Wow.
I can't even sleep. I mean, the pain's throbbing, and then I'm a writer, and I'm typing, and that I did I know I did it to myself from all the years where I wasn't necessarily taking care of myself, and I'm trying to build a business, and I'm sitting at a laptop for 20 hours a day and not sitting. We all, but
we do.
So again, it's a lifestyle change too. I can't go back to the old habits of what I used to do. I have to kind of move forward. So with the HSN and the global then experience that you've gotten with the product, how has that changed the business? Well, or you, or
it's as I mentioned, we did HSN really as a proof of concept, and we had a fabulous experience.
So limited quantities of what you did, just again keep control.
We did 10,000 pieces,
so
it was quite successful in that sense. But what it did really for us is that it opened that door with HSN, where each summer now we're going to bring a new product to HSN. So we're actually...
and it has to build credibility, too,
it
right?
Does.
And being chosen out of all of those, and then combined with the scientific and the data behind it. It's...
Yeah, so this summer we're bringing a new product to that big find, which is we call it RB4, which means RelieveIt before. This is our muscle soreness product. And so while a spray... it was primarily kind of centered around women and so forth. With a muscle soreness product, that touches everyone, because who doesn't get sore? And so instead of doing what you mentioned, how you give, we've all kind of grown up. We take an ibuprofen, we put drug products into our body, right? And so you're lifting furniture, you get sore. You go out for a walk, you get sore. You're playing tennis, you're playing golf, you're a runner.
Right.
All of these things, we all get sore. You go to the gym. And so imagine now a product that you can apply preventatively, proactively, suppresses the inflammation, because inflammation triggers muscle soreness as well.
Right. I think we also need to realize we're not 20 years old anymore, and stop trying to carry couches around and act like you don't need anybody's help. Again, lifestyle changes, but we do. And anyway, it's kind of funny. So I was going to say what's next, but you've got a lot. You just started. You've just begun, and it'll be exciting to watch.
What's really been exciting over this last couple of months, we've discovered that our product suppresses the flare-ups from plantar fasciitis.
Plantar fasciitis.
Right, and so foot pain, and so it's, if you have an arm pain, it hurts, but you can kind of deal with that. But when the bottom of the sole of your feet are hurting,
that's like your knees. You don't realize how important your knees are until you injure one of them.
Right. So we've started working with local podiatrists, and it's been unbelievable the feedback they're getting from their patients. So we're actually working now on the creation of a product for plantar fasciitis and foot pain.
So I think the most important thing, for RelieveIt right now is just the messaging, to get the messaging out.
It is the messaging.
Because, until they understand the product
Correct.
and the reason behind it, they don't understand, because it's like with anything, whether it's a fast food, restaurant that opens next to McDonald's or something. Oh, it's just another restaurant, it's just another product. But
That's
until
right.
they understand the messaging
That's right.
and why it's different than the others, which I know you're working on as well.
And so just following that thread, so what we're going to do, targeting end of 3Q, early 4Q.
Quarters 3 and 4.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Just saying.
And so all of the science, the results of the science at USF will be published, and we will hire a PR firm to then share that information. So people will learn that, if you have gum inflammation, you use RelieveIt. If you have arthritis, it's RelieveIt. It's plantar fasciitis, it's
Yeah.
RelieveIt. Vaccine, it's RelieveIt.
Well,
right?
it's, and it's really this, I wouldn't, no product is easy to pitch or share or market because obviously there's just a lot into it, but it's all about how you make someone feel.
Yes.
And
yes.
this is all about feeling.
It is, it is.
And it really is because it does fix a problem
Yes.
and it's a solution
It
for problems that I don't know like statistically how many because thankfully we may not have fibromyalgia and some of those other thankfully but again we have doesn't matter, we all are dealing with something,
Right.
but no, it's congratulations.
No, thank you. It's
exciting.
It's been quite a journey, and we still have a ways to go. But I think once we start to educate the public on the benefits of the ingredient,
Right.
we're going to focus on education of the ingredient, and then when they search for the ingredient, they will find products that solve problems. But that's the goal for starting the back end of this year, is to begin the education of this new botanical anti-inflammatory and what it does, how it came to
Right.
existence, and all of the science that supports it.
And really just sharing the story.
Sharing the story.
Maybe even not so much of science and data. Of course, it's there to back it up.
Yes.
But sometimes that can be so overwhelming to people that it misses that they don't hear it. So just that sharing that story and people are like, oh yeah, me too. Send me some, please. No, I mean, what Amazon, right? It's on Amazon. Is that probably the best and on the websites, I'm sure. But
Local
everything.
podiatrists,
Yeah.
local
Oh, okay.
running stores, yes.
I always promote local, so we'll just talk those. Yeah, but
Yes.
it's I'm a firm believer, and I will continue to use it. And I've got everybody in the family. I'm always, actually, I'm running around with the spray bottle now. So it's
Yes.
it's neater. It's a little neater, less. But they both work. I don't know. I love them. I'm hooked. So you're gonna. What about Well, this will help also put Trinidad and just really. I could imagine. If when you're successful in sharing the message and really building, I guess, the story behind of why it's so special, it'll be great. It should be.
It's a spotlight
Yeah.
on the country for sure.
And that's got to mean a lot to you too,
Yes,
as
yes.
well.
No, it does. Yeah, I think about turmeric and India, right? So you always associate turmeric coming from India, and so for years to come,
What is turmeric?
Yeah,
What is it?
The
Turmeric?
Yeah.
I could act like I don't. I just know it and just sit here, but
Yeah.
maybe. What is it?
So the turmeric, that it's also a natural anti-inflammatory. You use it.
Oh,
for-
so it was like just something else for anti-inflammatory.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew you were using an analogy of some kind, but
Yes.
I just wasn't sure what the
Yes,
product was.
yeah.
Okay. And I'm all about asking questions because if I don't understand it, and I hope I encourage everyone to do that. It doesn't matter how, Anyway, I like being goofy.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think so too. So, What have you done along the lines to just a couple minutes left, but through this, it's not easy, having gone through the journey, and of course, what has worked for you to kind of help you deal with the stress and be where you are today from a personal perspective?
I think I stay focused on the mission of bringing healing to tens of millions. Because that's what it's about. So when my grandmother created the original remedy, it was all about how can I help the people in my community. Right. And so, Kelly, the mission is to take what my grandmother created as a village remedy and transform it into a global wonder. Yeah. And so that's what keeps me motivated. And
kind of just seeing her maybe, in your mind and in your heart, or feeling her, that, where she's watching, and you want to make her proud and carry on that legacy. So this is personal to you, obviously, at this point, and you don't want to let her down, nor do you want to let anyone. I was joking the other day that sometimes, I feel, my daughter had asked me, we're talking about worst fears, and of course when someone 20 asks you, they're all like spiders or, snakes, and I'm like, I said losing a child, as a parent, that's what you say, but also as I've really learned more about myself, I think my worst fear is letting people down. Yeah. And I think when that's in your heart, I don't know, I mean, I think we arrive at the places we need to. We're just about done, but thank you so much for being here, Caleb. Thank you. Again, I love the product. I will continue using it. Check out Amazon for more information about the product, or you can check them out online where we've provided the information. I love sharing stories. So many of us. Never stop dreaming, never stop chasing what is in your heart and what you know to be true. And everyone's going to have an opinion. All you have to worry about is what's here, and focus there. And that's all there is to it. And that's why we try to provide all that we do. So check out edgemediahub.com for more inspiration. Until next time, never stop dreaming. See you soon.